Retro-style headphones seem to be becoming more popular again, with recent releases going for that aesthetic. The headphones that I have here today are a set that also seem to have been getting a lot of attention because of how they looked and the build materials. The Roseselsa Distant Mountain. I wonder why it's called the Distant Mountain. So I have reviewed some products in the past from Roseselsa, previously known as Rose Technics, and overall the products seemed to be decent enough to where I was quite positive about the different offerings that they had. So when I was browsing AliExpress and saw these recommended to me, I bought them since I liked how they looked and I had good experience with the brand in the past and even in an upcoming review with another product. Sadly, I can't say the same for this one. I will say that I really like how these look. The retro design, while using machined metal and leather, isn't something that we see very often, especially at the price of these at $65. Even the unboxing experience was pretty good, with a tasteful design that shows off the headphones and opens up like a book to display them. They were even able to package a waifu figure hidden in the box. I prefer this to displaying it all over the front, but to be honest, I could do without the whole waifu trend in audio products as a whole. It comes with an additional set of pads with open center holes, which increase the ear gain even more. Oh yay. The cables are removable, although they use MMCX connectors, and it is a tight fit to get them to click in properly. Sadly, my first real complaint about these is just the comfort. The headband and cups have no adjustment for swivel or pressure relief, and the headband is just a single band of stainless steel that clamps quite hard. I found myself bending and stretching the headband to try to relieve as much pressure as possible. The clamp pressure only adds to the discomfort from the lack of any sort of swivel in the cups. They sit flat, so when you wear them, they crush your pinna, and it makes them uncomfortable to wear for more than 10 minutes. On top of that, the arms are bent inward more than the rest of the headband, so out of the box, the cups sit on my ear with more pressure on the bottom rather than distributing the pressure even more evenly. Again, I had to bend the arms by hand to make it somewhat tolerable for me to wear. I could forgive the comfort and needing to bend and modify things if the sound was worth it, but unfortunately that doesn't really hold up either. Now, despite the meme of a graph, the peak at 2.5 kHz might not stand out as awful as you may initially think, and the rest of the tuning is actually done pretty decently. At first listen, I didn't think they were terrible, just not great. But granted, I listen at low levels. Turning them up though is when it really started to sound off to me. That boost of 2.5K gives everything almost a scratchy, small speaker sort of effect. For example, I was listening to a song and there was supposed to be a light clapping along in the background. But with those claps sounded grainy and like there was a background hiss almost going on. The overall tone comes across slightly thin, despite having a decent amount of bass and punch for this form factor. Now, I did try EQing that peak out with just a couple peak filters, and it really transforms these headphones into something that I do quite like. The entire sound fills in more and sounds like it has a much more natural timbre, with some overall warmth and body behind it. Really, with just removing that peak, I could forgive almost the rest of these flaws in this headphone, as I still do like how they look, and just by removing that peak, they would sound a lot better than a Porta-Pro. But without EQ, the more I listen to these, the more that I just notice the weird effects that these have on my music. Now, I do think that this is subtle enough that it probably won't bother most people, and some may say that they like the sound of these. But for me, it's just one of those things that is kind of a deal breaker and I can't really listen to them without EQ, or at least some sort of mod to fix it. I mentioned before, these also come with a different set of pads, but unfortunately all those do is amplify the problem even more. I'm sad to say that I'm a bit disappointed since I really did like how these looked, but maybe in a future iteration these issues could be fixed, and if that was the case, they could have a pretty good product on their hands, just unfortunately not this time.